what's going on? I'm Bill Reiter. This is Reiter's Block. Thanks for being here. The musical chairs that is the quarterback position in college football continues. We're going to catch you up on the show. Daniel Cormier, the champion, DC, will join me, maybe break some news. And we'll get into the biggest surprise in NBA history when we continue right now. That's what we call teasing the business. The NBA surprise? Turns out the Warriors are still good. All right, it's not a surprise, but a lot of us have started, I think, and it's ridiculous, to doubt this team. And last night in Denver, the silliness that ensued reminded every one of us and should remind the entire NBA, these guys are still exactly who we thought they were. 142 points against the Denver Nuggets in Denver. Denver was the top of the Western Conference until that game. 51 points scored by the Warriors in the first quarter. 51 in the first quarter. That is an NBA record. And the Warriors are where they belong and where they were always going to end up. In the regular season, you see there the standings, the top of the Western Conference, and almost certainly, and by almost certainly, strike the almost, I mean certainly atop the NBA when it's all said and done in June. It wasn't exactly Denny Green storming into a press conference and screaming about the Bears, but Kevin Durant after the game had a message to the NBA, and he's not wrong.
Considering this was a battle for first place, are you into sending messages or statements or any of that business?
No, I think they know who we are.
Yeah, we all know who you are, and you guys are real good. But for those of you that doubt it, those of you that are tired of the domination, those of you that need a little bit of a reminder, let's go through it. Steph Curry, the greatest shooter of all time, is still pretty good at basketball. 31 points last night. 8 of 13 from the three-point line, and as always, a huge part of their success. But a lot of times the Warriors, it's one of their 3 or 4 or 5 guys who go off. Steph was just one of the hot hands in a record-breaking evening for that squad. And Curry, again, quietly under the radar. Maybe this is real greatness. Not getting the due that he deserves. He should still be on MVP ballots as we get ready to talk about sort of midway season awards. Kevin Durant's pretty good too, and he had a pretty great evening beyond the playful quote with the reporter after the game. 27 points for KD. It's easy to forget sometimes when at times the Warriors get a little bored, stumble in a little mediocrity. You're talking about in Durant, the second greatest scorer probably in the history of the game, the complement to the greatest shooter in Steph in the history of the game. And it's not just, you know this, but we just got to catch you up because people are starting to think, oh, here come some other teams. Harden, Klay Thompson is pretty good too. To quote Tom Brady, I think I'm allowed to do that, he also doesn't suck, and you shouldn't think that he does. In fact, I think it's interesting, and Klay's had some quote-unquote struggles this year. He's been a perfect microcosm for this team. Remember, Klay Thompson is a guy who can score literally 40-plus points in a quarter. People questioning his ability to shoot the rock as silly as people questioning whether the Warriors were going to figure it out. And Klay, at least as it relates to addressing his own woes, I think struck a dagger in the heart of doubters the other day with this laid-back response.
What is someone going to tell me about my jump shot that I can't fix at this point? Unless it's Reggie Miller or Ray Allen, I don't know who I'm supposed to listen to. Larry Bird? Steve Kerr, I'll listen to Steve. Steve shot 45%. But other than that, it's like, I've done this job for a long enough time. I know what I need to do.
We can throw Larry Bird. We can throw Larry Bird onto the mix. Here's the reality for teams like the Warriors. As much as people find it obnoxious or off-putting, they're a force. It is a done deal. This isn't a season of competition for the Warriors. It is yet again a coronation. And while that's off-putting to fans and other organizations, it's still reality. These guys are human beings, and they're sometimes just going to let up on the gas a little bit. And by the way, I've only mentioned 3 of the reasons. It's a certainty. Don't forget Draymond Green. This guy is a defensive force of nature. He doesn't pop out of the box score sometimes. Doesn't make you go, oh my God, look at what he did. But if you watch the game, if you watch the film, if you talk to people around that organization, some will tell you he's as important to what they do defensively and their chemistry and their heart as Steph Curry is offensively. Last night, Draymond, his plus-minus was 41. And because life isn't fair and the Warriors speak to that every day on the basketball floor in the association, it turns out beyond the Draymond Green greatness, beyond Kevin Durant being what he is, beyond Steph Curry, beyond Klay Thompson being a secret weapon people doubt at their own peril, one of the, I would argue, top 5 talents, but certainly top 15 players in the NBA, Boogie Cousins, coming back next week, we hope, at Staples Center. Don't forget, this moment captured in a documentary was true then, and it's true as we get ready for that return.
I bet. I'm a warrior.
A lot of people think that that's Draymond, or excuse me, that's Boogie talking to General Manager Bob Myers about, hey, I can't wait to be a Warrior. It's really Boogie saying to Bob Myers, thank you for letting me come and get another championship. The Harden story is amazing, but in the end, it's cute. Paul George has been incredible, and I would say grossly underrated over the last 2 or 3 years. There's an argument PG has been a better player, actually, than KD over that stretch. But the Thunder, as it relates to competing with the Warriors, are a joke. Denver's a really cool story, and they're going to be really good in a couple years. They've got a lot of pieces that make sense. That is a brutal place to go into and play. The altitude has a real effect. There's a reason Denver has by far the best home record in the association this year. And the Warriors, looking at the top of the standings, seeing Denver ahead of them, knowing people talking about the Nuggets, are they for real, embarrass them on their home floor. This team can't be stopped. They're not going to be beaten. The only thing that takes them down is themselves. Is Kevin Durant going to be there in a year? Do he and Draymond like each other? Probably not, and it seems like the answer is no. But none of it's going to matter between now and when they hoist that trophy in Golden State or somewhere else, whether it's Boston or Toronto or wherever it may be. Maybe it's Milwaukee, because they're that good. And last night, a bored and apathetic team decided to give each and every one of us a historical reminder of that fact. We're going to turn to a little bit of UFC talk before we get into some of the college quarterbacks who are making moves to some big-time programs. Daniel Cormier, friend of the show. I think this is his 3rd or 4th time on Writer's Block. Going to join me in just a minute. Might even break a little news, so stay tuned. You don't want to miss this interview. All right, welcome back into the show. Writer's Block from New York City. Bill Reiter with you, but you don't care about that. You care about Daniel Cormier because he's the UFC heavyweight champion, UFC's #1 pound-for-pound fighter, the 2018 Fighter of the Year, and graciously making some time for us. Now, DC, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
All right, so the entire fighting world wants to know who is going to be stepping into that octagon against you. It's Jon Jones, right? You can break the news here. Jon Jones next?
No, Jones is fighting March 2nd. March 2nd was my target date, but I had an injury that I had to really take care of at the end of the year. So that's going to have to be pushed. So it looks like I'm going to have to fight past my birthday, which is very unfortunate, but I do want to compete again. So hopefully I'll be fighting sometime in April or May.
All right, I know that you had said that. I think, in fact, you and I, the last time we talked, you had brought up that memory serves March 20th, the big 4-0. You're going to go past that, perhaps stretching the deadline?
Much.
Could it lead to more than one fight after 40?
You know, man, I'm looking at one fight at a time. You know, right now I'm just looking at the fight, and, you know, if it's my retirement fight, it's my retirement fight. You know, I just know that I want to fight and compete at least one more time, and then I would feel secure in being done, as I've said time and time again. I just hate that I got hurt, which didn't allow me to fight March 2nd. If I could have got to fight March 2nd, I probably would have still been done. But I need to see what happens after this fight. And again, if I walk away, I'm happy. It would take a lot to make me keep competing.
Heavyweights can fight longer than a lot of other guys, and every guy, their body is different, how they're feeling is different, how training feels is different. For you, how did the injury come about, and just how are you feeling as you get near that 40th birthday?
I feel better now. You know, I mean, the injury came about from that sneeze with my back. You know, that sneeze that I had on the day of the fight in November, it was much worse than I thought. So I had to just do a lot of rehab on my back and everything, which kind of kept me out of commission. So I'm just kind of hoping that I start to feel better and get back to training as I like to. You know, my biggest thing is I haven't been able to. I can compete. I can still compete at the highest level. I just want to be able to train as I've been training my entire career. I don't want to cut any corners and give these guys a chance to beat me. You
know, a lot of these guys, you said it, multiple guys want a shot at you. Jon Jones on Twitter, you and he went back and forth. Stipe has made it very, very clear he wants another shot. If it's your call, if it's Daniel Cormier making the call, and there is just one fight, if it turns out there's one more fight, who do you think it should be against?
You know, after July 26th, we all thought my next fight would be Brock Lesnar, and I'm still hopeful that'll happen. But I haven't heard anything, so if it's not going to be him, then I'll fight Stipe. You know, I think the guy deserves the title shot rematch. I've always said that, and I want to stay true to my word. If it wasn't Brock, it was going to be him. I'd fight Stipe Miocic again. It's crazy, though, that him and I fought so long ago, and it's almost like he's the champion, and I'm rebuilding to a rematch. I've competed again. He's just sat on the sideline. I mean, that is some truly crazy stuff. You know, he feels very entitled that he's willing to just sit there and wait, as I've already competed. It's unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable that he's carrying himself in this way.
You know, it sounds like, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like a trilogy fight, another fight against Jon Jones, is not part of your plans short-term, long-term. Is that an accurate read of what we're hearing?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be. You know, I don't need to look back to Jon Jones. You know, I don't have to go and chase anybody. My career is not defined by any one man, any one person. You know, for a long time, a lot of what I did was tied to him, but I've separated myself. So I'd be happy or comfortable if we never fought again, but I'd be happy to compete against him one more time.
If you did that, and I think it was on Twitter where he said, come get your belt back, intimating that maybe he wants you to come down a level, where would you want to fight at? At what weight would you want to fight?
205 pounds. Yeah, I would go back down to fight him because that's where he beat me at. You know, there's no reason for me to bring him up to heavyweight. You know, we competed at 205. I fought at 205 for a long time and been very successful against everyone else but him. So I would go back down and fight him again if we were fighting, for sure.
I've heard you say before. I think you and I have had this conversation that when somebody gets a head start, referring to Jon, it's hard to beat him in a race, and the combination of that, and obviously it's not a secret, he's let people down before. I've been at some of those fights where he expected to come out and it didn't happen. Is there a part of you that thinks he doesn't deserve the opportunity to fight in a big fight, and certainly for you to lend your brand and your championship to his opportunity?
Yeah, you know, we're business partners when we go into these fights, and I've had a business partner for a long time that has let me down. So if I was to fight him again, it would be me doing him a favor. I don't need him anymore. You know, I'm a guy that separated myself from that situation. I'm the guy that's done everything right. So it would be me giving him the privilege of fighting again, regardless of how the first two fights went.
I love it. So, and I want to circle back to this, and independent of your injury, how has your training and your approach changed the last few years, still successful, as opposed to when you were 10 years younger, when you were a younger dude?
It hasn't, and that's why I put a lot of mileage on my body. You know, I don't change my training. I have to train a certain way in order to be successful. You don't change what's worked. You know, and to win at the clip that I've won at, it would be insane for me to say I need to do something different now. So I train just as hard as I did when I was younger. So maybe that's why I'm injuring myself, because my body's older, but my mind's still telling me to go harder, harder, harder. You know, when I say that embrace the grind, this is not just a saying. You know, it's something that I truly live for when I'm trying to prepare for a competition.
You know, the price that you pay for greatness and for having a belt is everybody wants a piece of the champ. And I had Max Holloway on the show before he beat Brian Ortega, and even then Max had a message. He wanted you next if he got it done. Do you have a message back to Max?
I love Max. The blessed era needs to stay down at 145, though. You don't want to come with the big dogs. Well, we truly eating up here. Maxie, baby, we eating up in the heavyweight division. You need to stay down with the featherweights, man. Don't come up here, Max. Stop calling me out, boy. He's called me out twice now. That's my guy, Max. Max is my guy, but he's called me out 2 times. Enough, Max. We really eating up here. We eating with the heavyweights.
You both have more toughness in your pinky fingers than I in my entire body. But having met both of you, I can speak to this. You're a much bigger man than he is.
Yes, I am. Max, He's actually taller than me, which is crazy. He came to the Ultimate Fighter for a week when I was coaching against Stipe. He's one of my good buddies, man. He talked a lot. He's a fantastic young man. Just a really, really good spirit to be around. But yeah, he's a featherweight, or maybe a lightweight. Maybe if we're really pushing it, he's a lightweight. You know, I take 2 lightweights now. I eat them for dinner.
I think your answer is the answer of friendship. All right, last one before we let you go. UFC Fight Night 143 is this weekend. Who do you like at the top of that card?
You know, it's a fantastic fight. Cejudo versus Dillashaw is just tremendous. Henry Cejudo is trying to lay claim to 2 of the biggest victory in the UFC's history after beating Demetrius Johnson, beating TJ Dillashaw, who may just be the greatest bantamweight champ of all time. He does that. Henry Cejudo has a case already as one of the greatest martial artists of all time. And then for TJ Dillashaw, it's an opportunity to become a 2-division champion and only strengthen a resume that is second to none. You know, if Dominic Cruz has always been considered the greatest bantamweight of all time and he's number 1, TJ Dillashaw is number 1 right alongside of him. There's no more 1 and 1A. It's 1 and 1 between TJ and Dominic based on accomplishment. So if TJ is to become the UFC's flyweight champion too, after being the bantamweight champion on 2 occasions, you can't question that Hall of Fame resume. This is a phenomenal fight that I truly cannot wait to be K-side for.
Daniel Cormier, it was an absolute pleasure. You know your own business. Just as a fan, I would love if we can see you fighting a lot longer than April. I hope a year from now we're still talking about your ongoing career. Appreciate you, man.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Wishful thinking, though. Good job.
Daniel Cormier on the program, the champ. Appreciate his time very, very much. Thank you, DC. All right, we're gonna get a little inside the numbers on college basketball. It's coming up in a moment here on Reiter's Blog when we continue on CBS Sports HQ. All right, welcome back into Reiter's Block here on CBS Sports HQ. Last night, Virginia utterly destroyed Virginia Tech 81-59 to remain undefeated. And we're going to go inside the numbers on Virginia, a little college hoops. We start, and they were good last night, with the number 2, as in not 1, but 2 teams remain undefeated in college basketball at this point in the season. Number 4, Virginia, and number 2, Michigan. How about 82 for inside the numbers in their 4 games in conference play, in which they're, of course, also undefeated? Virginia has won by a combined 82 points. Undefeated with domination is what we're telling you. Next up, number 7. Virginia is averaging 7 more points per game than they did last season. All 3 of their top scorers have higher averages than last year's top 3 scorers. As I'm sure you know, Virginia, traditionally a great defensive school. They've got the offense going this year as well. How about 6%? Virginia's leading scorer, Kyle Guy, is shooting 6% better from the field this year than he did last season, having improved to 67% from 61%. These guys are loaded in every way. The number 10, the Hoos have won 10 games this season by 20 or more points, and half of those wins were by 30 or more points, 5 times already this year, including a 97-40 beatdown over the powerhouse that is Coppin State. Poor Coppin State. That is the largest margin of victory for Virginia this season. Number 14, they have held Virginia opponents, 14 of them, to less than 60 points this season, which is the most times the team has done that in the nation this year. Again, they're defensively great, they're offensively great, reason they're undefeated. And finally, the number 9, Virginia has beaten 9 straight ranked teams dating back to last season. They will look to extend this streak to 10 this weekend when they visit and play against the number 1 team in the nation, the Duke Blue Devils. That will be a great, great basketball game. And you're used to seeing Virginia be a defensive force. They're really good offensively this year too. All right, let's get a little breaking news today. Some big-time transfers in college football. And this is going to be the new normal, and I like it. with the rules that free up student athletes to have a little more control over their lives. The big news today, my jaw dropped when I saw it. Jalen Hurts to Oklahoma. Lincoln Riley and the Sooners not missing a beat. They had Baker Mayfield, pretty good. Kyler Murray, not bad. Now they've got Jalen, and he's been overshadowed by Tua in Alabama, but don't forget this. Jalen Hurts is 26-2 as a starter. He led that Alabama team to 2 national championships, and he won one of them. So you're talking, and I think it's worth noting, he was a remarkable teammate this year. Didn't complain, didn't transfer in season, didn't say anything until it was all said and done. This guy is a leader, he is a winner, he is a stud. Can you say, really, three-peat for the Heisman down in Oklahoma? Oklahoma, Heisman you, potentially. Now, I don't love this, and I think we have to note it. Oklahoma also blocked backup quarterback Austin Kendall from transferring and playing right away at West Virginia. I get it. It's in conference. But it smacks me of some hypocrisy, especially when you're head coach. And I know Lincoln Riley's got to do what he's got to do, but he did say not that long ago, told a big-time quarterback recruit, not bringing in a transfer, not going to do it. And he did it. And it's a shocker. And it's Jalen Hurts, and I understand why you have to do it, but let Kendall and anyone else who wants to move on wherever they want to go. Come on, that turnabout has to be fair play. It's also worth reminding you that Tate Martell is also heading somewhere to the U. Congratulations, Miami fans. The glitz, the glamour, the expectations, he'll be fine. He lived within high school at Bishop Gorman. He never lost a game. He was on the TV show QB1. The kid is going to strive down in Miami. Remember, the whole defense returns. Maybe, just maybe, the Canes are back. I think it's good for the game. I love everything about it, and I like that these young quarterbacks, in a world where their coaches recruit them, and at any time can leave, have a little bit of freedom. Really good day for Miami. A huge day for Oklahoma, and good for Jalen Hurts. He deserves to go to a place that he wants to go and have some success. Love to see that Oklahoma team play Alabama next year. Can you imagine that storyline? All right, turning things back over to the guys in Stamford, Connecticut. We'll get you caught up what's trending in the world of sports. And then Sportsline about 30 minutes from now, going to help make you some money. Thank you to Daniel Cormier for being on the show. Thank you for hanging out. I'm Bill Reiter. The show is Writer's Block. We are back tomorrow. Hope you are back with us. Until then, have a great night. Don't turn off CBS Sports HQ, and we'll see you right here, 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific on Writer's Block.